Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. If this is the first time you've discovered it, yay, you're finally here. I'm so glad. And if you're a returning subscriber, yay, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate all your likes and your comments below, and of course, subscribing. All of those simple free actions spread magical YouTube fairy dust all over my channel so it can grow. My goal is to save you time and money by pointing out the quality and the content of films so that you can decide whether or not you want to spend time or money or both watching a particular film. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is called Civil War. This unsettling drama looks at a potential future America now playing in theaters. The film is definitely rated R, and I'll give you some tips for parents here in just a minute. It's an hour and 49 minutes long, and my overall movie review mom grade is an A. I think it's very well done. And one of the best indicators of a good movie, for me at least, is one that gets people talking and that is done so well that there are questions in your mind and in your heart, and you have to talk to people about what you just saw. That's kind of what this movie is all about. So I'm going to first give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like, tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines. Yeah, amazingly enough, there are some funny lines. There is some humor in this film, believe it or not, but overall it is very dramatic and devastating. Then I'll share some really interesting lines, and then we'll finish up with some recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also really like. All right, so in a nutshell, there have been rumblings of civil war in America ever since the January 6th big event, right after the 2020 election. I have never experienced so much anger and hatred in my own country in my life as I have in the past few years. I was so encouraged during the pandemic when everyone was singing from their balconies to everyone, and everyone was feeling love and patience. And now everyone is so mean and ugly to one another. It is just shocking to me. I see it every single day and it breaks my heart. I certainly hope that Americans don't want civil war. Countless lives will be lost unnecessarily and probably won't solve the problems that we have here anyway. The film paints a picture of an America gone crazy and in crisis, which makes me so sad. Hopefully, when Americans watch this film, it will remind us that this is not who we are as a country. We are better than what is portrayed in the movie. And unless we start making different choices and slowing down and calming down and showing some kindness for to one another, we could easily go down this path. And that is frightening, truly. The story follows a team of military embedded journalists as they race against time to reach Washington, D.C. before rebel factions descend upon the White House. Their goal is to simply record factual events, letting politicians and the public comment and decide on the content. That definitely doesn't happen in today's journalism anymore. Every news outlet has a very clear agenda that is pushed, making it very difficult to oftentimes ascertain what is truth at times. The film was directed and written both by Alex Garland, who also brought us the movies Ex Machina and Annihilation. I thought those were both really interesting movies as well. This one has already been nominated for the Audience Award at the SXSW Film Festival this year. I've been really impressed with the work that A24 has been doing the last number of years. And so this film is another great project to add to their list. It will definitely stir up conversations, emotions, and controversy. So let me give you tips for parents. I don't think that this movie is appropriate for children at all, and even for some adults who are going to be very sensitized and possibly traumatized by the images that they might see in this film. For example, we see bloodied dead bodies. There is profanity, including F-bombs, a lot of F-bombs. We see horrible violence, like setting people on fire, hanging dead bodies, people being shot, cars driving over dead bodies, bodies just tossed in ditches. You will see images that may haunt you for years. The violence and the hatred that are on display are devastating, but probably very realistic if that's the direction our country is headed in. Lots of destruction and just an alarming display of the lack of respect and value for human life are shown. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well are political conflict, of course. And let me point out that it's a little bit unclear exactly what has really brought America to this ultimate conflict of civil war. And I think it's good to have it vague on purpose, because so many scenarios could play out in a civil war should it actually happen. But that's really not even the point of, arguing what the debate is about, just that America cannot resolve its problems and its conflicts. And that's where the film starts. Partisan politics obviously is illustrated, journalism, the human cost of war, humanity in general, and the power of photographic images. So there's a long list of things I really liked. First of all, I really liked Kirsten Dunst in this. I've been a fan of hers for years. She just does a fantastic job in this role as an experienced, weathered journalist. The cast also includes Nick Offerman, Stephen Henderson, a vicious Jesse Plemons, who's so good and so horrible in this movie, and the new and upcoming actress Kaylee Spaney, who had small roles in previous films, all really good ones, such as Priscilla, Bad Times at the El Royale, and On the Basis of Sex. Good for her. The movie poster is provocative and intriguing, and the title is pretty straightforward. Sadly, many people are already assuming that there will be angry riots after this next presidential election coming up in only a few short months, no matter who wins. Both sides are going to be angry. I thought that it was really clever to show snapshots during the scenes so that we could see the events through the camera lens of the journalist. In other words, the scene goes through fluidly, as a film camera, and then it clicks as if we're looking at it through the camera lens. And I really like that effect. We see it a lot in Act 1 and Act 3, not so much in Act 2, although a little bit. Anyway, I just liked the technique and thought it worked beautifully in this film. Really great sound design, very impressive cinematography by Rob Hardy. And the film is just powerful, ultimately, and punches you in the gut. Now, with all of that praise, there were just a few things that I didn't like or thought could have been done differently. For example, because the movie is about politics in the United States of America, some people will not be interested in watching the movie. And I don't blame them. Politics is not fun. While we love watching movies to escape, especially as the world gets crazier and crazier, we need that valuable escape. But there's also so much we can learn from movies. So if you're in the mood for just a silly, fun movie, this is not your film. The trailer doesn't accurately portray the contents of the film, which has annoyed a lot of viewers, and a lot of people are writing negative reviews saying, oh, it was a bait and switch. So that you know what the content is. I think those comments are written by people who are expecting kind of a high action war flick with a clear us versus them plot. So instead, go to the theater to take a look at what war does to human lives through the eyes of photojournalists. And that's a very different kind of movie. There is some action, and if you're going there for the blood and guts and glory and all that, you'll see some of that, but the perspective is different. So just know that going into it. Now, while I watch movies, I always take notes, obviously, but I write down funny lines and interesting lines so you can get a taste of the dialogue and the script writing quality and content. So surprising, as I mentioned at the beginning, there is some humor. For example, this young girl who just idolizes Kirsten Dunst's character as this experienced photojournalist, she hitches a ride in the car and she wants to pull out her camera and take photographs as well. Anyway, so she's talking to Kirsten Dunst. So this young photojournalist is played by Kaylee Spaney, and she says, "Would you photograph it if I got shot?" And then Kirsten Dunst looks at her and says, "What do you think?" Because, yeah, she would. She's a photojournalist. Another interesting line that this young Kaylee Spaney says is, "You're so war torn, you can't try on a dress." They end up in this one city that seems to not be affected by the civil war raging throughout the country. And so they go into a dress clothing shop, and they're trying on clothes, and it just feels so good to feel normal again. But Kirsten Dunst's character is like, no, no, no. And then finally she acquiesces and tries on a dress. And you could tell she's just kind of breathes out like, oh yeah, that's what life used to be like. And then there's another line that Kirsten Dunst says to this guy who stays behind when there's like crazy stuff going on. She's like, "You stay because you're old and can't run," but she wants to get right there in the action. She has so much courage and just dives right in. Now, on to some interesting lines. And by the way, you can see all of these written on my written movie review mom.com website. So one line is spoken by Kirsten Dunst, and she's talking to this young girl, and she says, "Once you start asking those questions, you can't stop. So that's why we don't start." And again, she's saying to this young girl, we just take the pictures and let everybody else have their conversations about what's in the pictures themselves. And then a really interesting conversation takes place between two people. One is one of the photojournalists, played by Wagner Mora, and he looks ethnic. And so Jesse Plemons, who's full on American in the war, Wagner's character says, "We're American," and then Jesse Plemons' character says, "What kind of American are you?" And that's when you just go, whoa, America used to be the proud of the melting pot that we are. And now we're starting to draw lines between ethnic groups and economic groups and religious groups. And, that's not who we are. Anyway, but that's the America that's shown in the film. And you're just like, go. All right, so let me give you some recommendations for some other movies I instantly thought of as I was watching this that I think that you'll like. The first one is Olympus Has Fallen. That's when terrorists go and take down the White House. Now, that one truly is an action flick. We've got guys trying to save the president of the United States, and it's kind of all in good fun. And that's probably the kind of movie that a lot of people are thinking that this Civil War movie is going to be. Another one by the same director, in fact, is Salvador. Now, that is a civil war of sorts taking place in another country, El Salvador, to be specific. And it's very interesting, very well done, and also will leave a big pit in your stomach. And then if you truly want to see a movie about the Civil War, check out an older movie back in I think it was the 80s or 90s, called Glory. And it actually features one of the African-American platoons, brigade, I don't know what it's called, but a bunch of the American soldiers who were fighting actually were Black in the Civil War. Anyway, really great actors, and an interesting look at the Civil War. All right, that is it. Be sure and click down in the description below, and you'll see links to some of those videos that I just recommended. And if you click on them and you purchase them or rent them on Amazon, it doesn't cost you any more than it normally would, but Amazon rewards me for sending you there. So thank you. I appreciate your financial support that way. You can also find me on Patreon and support me there. And you can join my private club here with a little subscription and get access to some fun stuff. All right, have a fantastic day. Visit me on Instagram, Facebook, and all the social media sites. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.